Okay, let's talk about what was really the moment of the media conference or the visit that got played and played and played, and that was the dressing down of Kevin Rudd. Now, I haven't found too many people, both publicly and privately, I would say as well, mostly on the Labor side, who didn't somewhat see the come to Jesus moment or see that as a little bit deserved by Kevin Rudd, that dressing down from the president. But there's not many, those same critics say, well, Kevin Rudd still works hard and he's done a pretty good job in stitching this all together. But, I mean, some on your side are saying now's the time for Rudd to go. Really?
Look, Laura, there is no doubt that the President made a bit of a goose of Kevin Rudd, and perhaps so he should for those ill-advised, ill-considered tweets that he made. But that was a while ago. I think, though, that the call for Kevin Rudd to resign or stand down, the call for his position to be untenable now, is probably a little bit churlish. I was having dinner right recently with the chairman of a rare earths company that had been over to the US very recently as part of a delegation that Kevin Rudd had organised. He said it was a real door-opening experience, that there was access given to some of the highest levels in the administration. The work clearly has been done on critical minerals and rare earths by Kevin Rudd personally. And I think that he should be acknowledged for that good work. This really was, as you said, a Team Australia moment. We've got an outcome that was in the national interest. It's something that we should acknowledge and celebrate.
Yeah, so he should stay where he is, as Anthony Albanese said, for his 4-year term, and he's about halfway through.
Well, I think, yes, when his term expires, that's a decision for him, that's a decision for the government. But certainly he has done an awful lot of work getting this deal together. The idea that he would step away from the job now, I think, is it wouldn't serve us well.
Do you think it was a little bit intemperate for Susan Lee and others to call for his resignation yesterday?
Look, I don't think that there's any need here to behave in a way that would be considered churlish. We should be acknowledging the good work that has been done. We should also acknowledge the work that is yet to be done, particularly on issues like tariffs, particularly around steel and aluminium, because that is also in Australia's best interest, and that should be the next step.
OK, well, let's talk about the next couple of steps with inside the Liberal Party and the Nats at the moment. We'll stick on the Liberal Party. It seems that there is a lot of momentum now to bring this net zero debate to a head. Is that what you're feeling internally? And I know you're part of this meeting as well.
Well, we know that we have been working through our policy positions on a number of different issues, and of course energy is one of them. Dan Tehan has been leading that charge very capably indeed as the Shadow Minister. But at some stage we do need to nail our colours to the mast and get on with the job. I co-convene a committee called the Coalition Policy Committee on the Australian Economy with Simon Kennedy. That was a position that was appointed to both of us by the leader, by Susan Lee. And that committee has been meeting with economists, meeting with experts in the field on energy, on tax reform, on other economic issues, superannuation, and we have been talking about energy an awful lot. That meeting is now, committee is now meeting over the next couple of weeks with other experts in the field, think tanks, and other academics. And we will also have a session that will allow colleagues to have their say, just 5 minutes or 3 minutes or whatever it might be, to put their position forward, not just on one issue, or whether it be net zero, but also on broader energy, on a broader approach to energy policy. There's a lot of my colleagues who for this is an existential issue, not just whether the National Party should go one way or the Liberal Party should go another, but whether they're going to be able to maintain their seats at the next election, and whether we're going to win back the 33 seats that we need to form government. So this really is an important issue, and it's vitally important that all of my colleagues have an opportunity to speak up, to say what it is that they think is true and important to the Shadow Minister, and then also indirectly, of course, to the leader.
Right, so this committee that you co-convene is now central to this debate. This has become a meeting or a committee that a lot of Liberal Party members are coalescing around. Are you building momentum one way or the other in that meeting? And is that the right vehicle to do it?
Well, I don't want to overplay my hand here, Laura, and, Simon and I are simply offering a forum for colleagues to have their say. It's not binding.
Are they not
it's
being
simply an opportunity to
offered a
feedback
forum
that
elsewhere?
message.
Is this the only vehicle?
The thing is, a party room meeting is a very different... A party room meeting would be an alternative, but it is a different forum. But we think this is a good starting point for people to start formulating their ideas and to also have other colleagues listen to their ideas too, their ideas and their positions. We seem to get a very narrow cast message about this that we're hearing back in the media. There are some very noisy voices in our party room. We want to make sure that some of the quieter voices get an opportunity to have their say too, in a moderated format, and that's what this meeting will hopefully provide.
Well, who's leading this show at the moment?
Well, the leader is leading the show, of course. She knows that we need to get to a position not just on net zero, but on a broader energy policy. But it's really important that she has the opportunity for all of her colleagues to have their say, because it's important to all of us.
From our perspective here, and I think from most of the general public's perspective, there are very loud voices within the coalition opposed to net zero. Can you give us some insight as to whether that is the feeling internally? Are those proponents, those supporters of net zero, are just a little bit more shy or working diligently behind the scenes?
I think that the argument about energy policy more broadly and net zero narrowly requires some nuance. It's not the sort of thing that can be discussed using headlines. We want to make sure that there's affordable and reliable energy out there, that we support our economic prosperity for decades to come, but at the same time that we play our part in bringing emissions down and abiding by our international agreements. Getting that nuance right is not necessarily something that you can get through a soundbite, which is why it's really important that we have the discussions, whether it be in the party room, whether it be outside the party room, and all colleagues have a chance to put their positions forward in what's important to them about this issue.
Can I come to that committee too?
I'm afraid it's a closed-door committee and public and the media are absolutely not welcome. However, I think that you should take some comfort that this is something that has great interest around our party room, but also that everybody would like to have an opportunity to have their say. We're not simply taking directions from the top. This is a collective decision that will be made so that we can then get behind our leader and support her with the position that she takes to the next election.
Jane Hume, thanks so much for your time today.
Good to be with you, Laura.